It's day 3 of Breakout, the biggest board game convention in Canada, and today I'm with Daryl Andrews. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and this episode, like I said, I've got Daryl Andrews beside me. Daryl, tell the people what you do for a living.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's always easy to go to a party and find people to talk to because I design board games.
Well, lots of people want to know about your games.
Sure.
Because I think this is interesting. I talked to you early on when I was starting the channel. We did an episode with Senfung Lim
Yes.
For Canada Day, all about the top 10 Canadian designed board games.
Yeah.
And that was sort of, we'd been in touch online a little
Absolutely.
bit. It was maybe our first time talking together. We chatted a few times when Clubhouse
Right.
was a big deal. Remember
Absolutely.
Clubhouse?
I don't even know if it still exists, but that helped me get through COVID times.
Yeah, same.
Oof.
Same. It was like a radio.
Yeah.
Like you could talk to people live.
Yeah, it's fun. They do us like organized conversations.
Yeah, it was.
We kind of, especially board games, we found each other.
Yes. Well, it seems like the board game people do find each other.
We do.
That's for sure. So I was excited. I saw on Daryl's socials that he was at Breakout, and immediately I texted him to say, I'm going to find you.
Yes.
And I will kidnap you for a few minutes so that we could chat about board games, because you always have something in the hopper. There's always something new coming up.
Yeah, thankfully I get to work with good people, so lots of fun projects.
I was super excited a while back when you came out with The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
I was so excited that somebody I knew got a game under that license.
Yeah.
I love that comic.
Yeah, it was a dream. I mean, Frank Miller is legendary, and it actually came out of a conversation I had with an individual at Cryptozoic who said, like, what's one of your all-time favorite books? And so I shared that, and he said, well, if I could get the rights, would you make a game for us? And I was like, of course.
Wow.
And so that's how sometimes it's really hard, and you got to go to so many conventions and pitch so many meetings and hear no. And then a random conversation like that happens, and you go, well, I wish it was always that easy.
Every once in a while.
And I'm sure he did a ton of work. Yeah. And ironically, when he finally landed, it took a while. But when he finally landed, he said, I have some good news and I have some bad news. He said, I am leaving the company, but I did manage to lock this down, so you'll have this opportunity to make it. And he's still in the industry. He works actually at the Op, which is another amazing game company.
They have great games at the Op.
So he's doing great things, and the Op's been killing it the last few years. So.
Very nice. Yeah. Wow. So what luck. Yeah. Just serendipity.
Serendipity.
Now, is that enough to counterbalance all the no's that you get?
You know what? Yes. You know, good news is like you cling to those, and they're just like so uplifting that you get used to hearing no, and then they're almost like a surprise.
I mean, a job, like a creative job, such an artistic job like you have, I don't know if I'd have the guts to. I would take every no to heart, I feel like.
I mean, you do at the start, but you build up resilience, and you learn from it that even the no's, like I heard someone say, you know, imagine you knew you had to hear 20 no's before you got your yes. You'd embrace those no's. You want to get through those no's. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of just remind myself, we're going to get to the yes, and we just got to get through some no's first.
That's a good philosophy.
When I heard that, it was life-giving.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, the psychologist wants to know.
Sure.
How do you become resilient in the face of...
Absolutely. And these are skills and muscles that we always have to work on and build.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yep. And so here we are at a Canadian board game convention.
Yeah.
With a Canadian board game designer.
Yeah.
And a Canadian content creator.
I love it.
All from Ontario.
It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
It's energizing being here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel inspired.
Well, and you said it was super chill for you today.
Yes.
Usually you're going meeting.
Yeah, most conventions, it is. It's just like schedule. If you look at my schedule, it's a nightmare. It's just like sometimes I can't get from one to the next in time. Feel like I'm running. But this is my local con, and I really protect it and say, I want to see people, I want to play games, I want to have good food with friends, so thankfully it's not a lot of work.
Have you gotten to play anything yet?
Not a lot, but I have played a few small games.
Okay.
But I'm hoping this afternoon to play something a little chewier.
Is there anything exciting that you're looking forward to?
I really like, there's a few that I've played that I'd love to play again because I've only played them once. One, my friends are playing right now, Galileo Gallery or something.
Okay.
It was really good.
I don't even know that one.
Yeah, it's new. It was like at Essen, and I think Capstone's bringing it over or someone like that.
Okay.
But
what kind of
astrology and your worker placement, and it has this cool little like telescope that you move as your worker choice. It's kind of almost Rondell like.
Okay.
So
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was very satisfying.
Okay, so a Galileo game.
Yeah.
About science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else you're enthusiastic about?
I mean, I never have enough time to. There's always more games.
Yeah.
So I just want to try stuff, and that inspires me. A lot of the times I'll think like, oh, I don't need to work on that game, and I'll play it, and it'll be so different than what I expected anyways, that it'll spur another idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's inspiration that comes from all of this.
Tons of inspiration. I'm a big believer that you play as many games as you can, and you'll always come up with different stuff.
I'm also a big believer in that, but maybe for different reasons. I just like hanging out with friends and family, playing games.
Yeah.
Just love it.
Absolutely.
So what are your favorite, because you design games, what are your favorite mechanisms to put in a game? What are the best things that you like the most?
Yeah, it's funny. I also do a lot of co-design. Okay. So I will often kind of riff with the other person and see like what's the overlap. So I feel like I'm almost like an omni gamer, and I just like a little bit of everything. But I like the challenge of taking on something different.
Okay.
So like even last year, game with Adrian, we did a game called Mistwind, Canadian publisher too, First Fish Games.
Okay.
And it was such a fun project, and it's gorgeous. The production value is amazing. These floating whales, and that was like, for instance, like me and Adrian said, like, there's not a lot of pickup and delivery games that we're big fans of. So how would we make a pickup and delivery game that we'd like? And so like that was an example of a challenge. One of the solutions to us was, let's weave it with worker placement. We're big worker placement fans.
I do like worker placement.
So then we were like, well, what would that look like? And so like that kind of like often is where we're saying like, what would be our twist, or what would be our way of doing that, or what would be a way to combine it with something? To me, it's like cooking. It's like there's not a lot of new things you could ever invent, but the recipe and like fusion are the ways that you taste familiar things, but also with some new twist.
Is it a licensed game?
So that one, Mistwind, ironically, it looks like an old like video game, but it's not. It's actually all the art is from Gordon Oscar, who's the partner of Stephanie Kwan, who's the owner of First Fish Games. So full circle, like we actually saw Gordon's art and were blown away. And then we played the game, and they said, well, what about all of his sketches that you saw that you love? What if we set it in that world? And so we actually worked with them in bridging, because that game had a few different themes before.
Right.
And then once we saw that art, we were like, well, we got to make it in this world.
Oh,
so
I thought for sure it was based on a comic.
No, it looks like it. It's really epic scope.
Yeah.
And like people see that cover and want to buy it just alone, which is part of the challenge.
Right.
Because there's so many games.
Yep.
And that's where we were like, cool, like let's be part of making a whole universe. So they're going to be making more games in that world. Actually, Adrian is working with Gordon on the next game.
Okay.
So,
but you're not involved in that one?
Not that one, but like the goal is to make different games, different combos of us building into that universe.
Wow. Well, if you've got a great artist and great artwork, and you've done the world building.
Exactly. It's like normally it would be such a luxury to even just have unique art per card, because he's drawing it.
Yeah. We
can do that.
What luck.
Right.
So you've got some connections then.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you brought something today.
Yeah, it just showed up in my house like this week.
That makes me wonder if you've got some pretty fancy connections.
Yeah, well, it's pretty awesome. A long time ago, well, a few years ago, I got to do I love different IPs playing different sandboxes, and I got to do a Sinister Six game. So Marvel, Spider-Man, that was a real like dream moment.
Right.
And through that connection, I kind of got on Disney's radar because of approvals. They saw that. I actually met like one of the approval people at a future convention, and I also did a game. I didn't even connect the dots, but I did a game for Titanic, the movie Titanic, and that's all in the umbrella of companies owned by Disney.
What?
And so I mentioned it, and the Disney person was like, yeah, I approve that. Like I was on the other side. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So again, like there was these little moments where I was getting on their radar with some games, Fast forward, I recently did some consulting for a company called Maestro Media, and the CEO, Javon, worked for Disney back in the day. And we said, well, we got to go for some Disney stuff. We love Disney.
Right.
And so we pitched in and found out they had a gap in their like opportunities. It was Donald Duck's 90th birthday last July.
Oh.
So to celebrate, we made this game all in a year, less than a year really, from finding out and had it out by Christmas for pre-order. And so now they've just landed. So his birthday was in the summer, and we already have it, delivering and fulfilled to people, and it's hitting stores like now.
He's my favorite classic Disney character.
Sure.
Now all the Marvel characters are under
well, now
Disney
with all the
umbrella
others,
Star Wars,
but he was like the most.
He was my favorite.
He was the most like every emotion.
Yep.
I feel like part of why we got picked, because obviously lots of people were pitching in for the opportunity. Huge honor.
Yeah.
But like what I explained when we were talking to them was, a lot of people will just shortchange Donald as angry Donald, like he gets so mad and I was like, but for me, that's a moment. But actually, like the bigger moment is like he's a hero. He took in his nephews, he raises them, he loves them through thick and thin. They always work it out. They always figure it out. It's like every episode you get the wide spectrum of everything. He's not like perfect like Mickey. Mickey's always right.
Right.
Donald, he's ups and downs. He gets frustrated. You can connect with him.
Yep.
And so, like I said, like that's why I would want to make a Donald Duck game, is celebrating that. So you play actually as the nephews or Webby.
Okay.
You play as one of those four, and Donald is your scout leader out in the forest. And sometimes he's helpful, and sometimes he's not. But he's marching around for your 7-day camping trip.
Oh.
While you pop up tents and earn merit badges and try to get to Lookout Point.
Uh-huh.
And then by the time 7 days are done, Donald goes back to the car, and you all have to like wrap it up.
Now that is a good idea, because I feel like kids and adults playing this game would all want to play as Donald.
Right.
So he's an NPC.
So he just runs the clock. He's just the timing mechanism. You can go run up to him and get a bonus every round. There's a different Donald card. And we have like something like 15 of them in the game. So you're not going to see the same one every game. And but yeah, that was one of our reasons, was we were like, Donald game, everyone wants to be Donald. But it feels fair that you can be one of the nephews
Huey,
or Webby.
Dewey or Louie.
Yeah, and Webby.
And Webby.
Yeah.
I don't even know Webby.
Webby often showed up more in like DuckTales.
Okay.
And some of the comics.
Right.
Obviously, I deep dived to everything. And
you have to.
And one of the fun things was actually Webby came in because of Disney. We met with them every week or two. And originally it was going to be Daisy.
Okay.
And so we had Daisy, and then they said, well, it's weird that, some of you are kids and one of you is older. So you already have Donald doing his thing. Let's leave the adults out. You get to play as a kid. We all want to be, playful and having fun. So if you're a kid or an adult, you're happy being, one of them. So that was, high five to Disney. Great suggestion to switch to Webby.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought. I didn't even know Webby existed.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So
you
it
did
was fun.
Deep dive.
It was incredible, because like we even like our name Happy Camper is an homage or a wink to some of the original films that came out with Donald, of like Happy Scout and like different films. And so we tried to incorporate little Easter eggs in the art. Like, for instance, like the ponds are shaped like ducks, like just little things in the art. So it's a tile exploration game that you are finding camping spaces, popping up little wooden 3D tents, and earning merit badges that kind of like a little bit of like an engine builder.
Okay.
With the different gadgets you have. You only have up to 3, so it doesn't like get too overwhelming.
Right.
You can kind of combo a few moves and have like kind of an epic turn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. And you took the time out of your busy schedule today to come and talk to me about Happy Camper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm super excited. The other thing that was really cool about it, and why we could do it really fast, was it's actually like a reimagined or restored game from an old game called I'm trying to blank. Goldland? I want to say Goldland.
Okay.
It was a game by Wolfgang Kramer.
Oh.
Who is one of my all-time favorite designers, like legend. If I made a Mount Rushmore,
right,
Kramer would be on my Mount Rushmore. And he gave me the access to some of his back catalog and said, if there's any games that you want to restore and work with me on. So we took Goldland, which came out 20 plus years ago, only was released in Europe.
Oh, perfect.
And said like, okay, that game's like 90 minutes, 2 hours. how could we reimagine it into like a 30, 45-minute time frame? So we
Mhm.
took all the best parts, but then like married that
Like
with
a
Donald.
serendipity of events that came together.
Yeah. So a special mechanic that he had come up with the original game Goldland was you have a backpack with limited spaces, and the more you carry, the slower you are.
Oh.
So that weight is going to slow you down, but if you free up more spots, you can run farther. So that little dance of trying to resource manage, but also plan ahead where you're going to go is
balance.
That balance, that
Nice.
give and take.
Oh, very cool. So this is your brand new thing that's hitting shelves.
It's now, like, hopefully it's in your store wherever you are, your friendly local area game store.
Well, with Disney's name on the front,
and hopefully that helps.
Probably get wide distribution.
Yeah, hopefully in some big box stores too. So,
very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have anything that's on the hopper that's kind of coming close to fruition?
Yeah, I have a few things coming out at Gen Con or around that time, and thankfully I can start talking about them because Gamma just happened like a week or two ago.
Okay.
So they started showing different people like the upcoming stuff.
So you almost heard it here first? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
almost heard it here first. Maybe your local store heard about it at Gamma, and that's about it.
Okay.
So I have two coming with Pandasaurus. Again, with remakes or reimagines from old Wolfgang Kramer games. One's Hacienda. So really cool art. It's the same artist from White Castle.
Oh.
And I heard they're going back to their real job, that they were having a break. So it might be one of the few times that they're going to be able to do art. It's so pretty.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really excited about that. Hacienda was just like one of my favorite Wolfgang games. A kids game, children's game, which I think is my favorite example of a game where you can play with kids and kids can beat the adults straight up.
Okay.
Which is hard to do. Like play a game where everyone's on an equal playing field, or maybe even kids are in an advantage. The game's called Gulu Gulu. It's about stealing Wolverine eggs.
Okay.
And there's a wooden alarm, a wooden stick. When you grab the egg, if the wooden stick falls, like you bust. Like that's you push your luck too much. But if you can pull it out, then you get to move to that color. So which color do you pick to kind of race ahead?
Okay, so there's a dexterity component.
A little dexterity element. So we got to meet, he was showing me all the different like frictions and different for the eggs and the paint and the wood and all. The bowl has to be heavy enough that it doesn't move and all these kind of.
I've always said, board game designers have to be engineers and data nerds and
everything.
Who would have thought the texture of wood?
Right. Yeah, the paint finish and the weight of the bowl matters, but not too heavy because we don't want it expensive for people to purchase it. And
I love it.
There are a lot of little problems you discover.
Wow.
Or opportunities.
Yeah. So those are the two.
So that's two with Pandasaurus. I have a game with Upper Deck coming out with the license of animated Batman.
Oh, wow.
Very pumped about that.
That is awesome.
That's another kind of dream license for me. So it's called Enemies of Gotham. You get to play as the bad guys. Batman keeps getting in the way.
Wow.
And some of his, side crew, Robin might get in there and Gordon. And so it's a battle game. It's actually inspired or influenced by my favorite Wolfgang Kramer game. I feel like I'm just talking about Wolfgang Kramer, but El Grande.
All about him.
El Grande is like one of my all-time favorite games. And so me and my friend Morgan, who's the creative director at Catan, Morgan Donteville, me and him co-designed this game called Enemies of Gotham.
Amazing. So you've done Sinister Six.
Yeah.
You're covering all the bases.
Batman, Donald. I'm trying to hit all my dream. If the kid version of me could meet me, I'd be pretty impressed.
Are you going to do a Star Wars game?
Oh, that would be the dream. That's still someday.
Okay.
I still have things to reach for.
Well, you have connections now within the Disney.
I definitely bring it up, when I can in a pitch meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, there's those. I'm trying to think. Arcane Wonders has a game, and it's another Wolfgang Kramer remake called Ley Lines.
Okay.
And it's gorgeous. Arcane Wonders did an incredible job with the art. It's
they
gonna
do
be
nice games.
Yeah, it actually, I describe it like the old Days of Wonders games that were just like good quality and great art, and they would just Ticket to Ride or whatever. I feel like it's that. Like it has that kind of like beauty and just like cool components. I just saw it, and I'm really excited. It's based on old German game that never got released outside of Germany. I'm butchering how you say it, but Auxel.
Okay.
AUF space ACHES.
Okay. I'll
probably
ask my
even messed up.
mother-in-law.
Yeah.
She speaks German.
It's
so-
basically translate trucking.
Okay.
Like you're trucking around. And it was a game about being truckers picking up and delivering around Germany.
Okay.
We rethemed it away from trucking.
Okay.
And
so you're not going to have that R. Crumb picture,
no,
the guy with the big foot that
right,
says
exactly.
keep on trucking?
No, keep on trucking on this. Instead, it's like whimsical and family friendly, and it's set in like the Scottish countryside with like little ley lines that you're traveling along and picking up things in the forests and
Okay.
trading them in, to the tailor because you picked up some stuff that could be turned into clothing and stuff like that. It's so pretty. Really proud of it. That was actually the first, the order never ends up the same, but that was the first project that I got to work with Wolfgang. And now it's going to be coming out. So
I mean, you're a very busy guy.
I'm trying.
Wow.
When opportunity strikes, especially in freelance,
yeah,
it's feast and famine. So
that's true.
When someone says yes, you go for it.
Amazing. Okay, Daryl, if people wanted to get in touch with you, if they have questions, if they want to know about all the crazy things that you're working on,
right?
Because you've got a big pile of projects.
I'm trying, yeah.
How would they get in touch with you?
I mean, most social media, you can probably find me under my name. Sometimes it'll have my middle initial, which is an M.
Okay.
It sometimes looks like Daryl Mandrews, but it's Daryl M. Andrews.
And it's Daryl with a Y. I'll make sure it's
Daryl. Yeah, 1 R. I'm not a pirate.
Yeah.
You can find me there. I love talking about games. Happy Campers just hitting stores, so check that out.
Awesome. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment section below the video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go, and the previous ones are up there already. Brains on Games is the X handle, and the Facebook page, and the Blue Sky feed, and the Instagram page. We're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Ciao.